Hello and welcome back to another video on the Sam Hill channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Leeds United transfer window, talking about incomings, departures, all of that jazz. Before anyone says it, before we get any comments, yes, I'm using a mini microphone. It's a bit of fun. I never know what to do with my hands. It gives me something to hold, so just ignore it. And without further ado, let's get into talking about the Leeds United transfer window. Now, much like the Leeds United transfer window, I'm going to be starting off negative, starting off badly, and talking about the departures, all the players we've said goodbye to. Some of them we've happy to say goodbye to, some of them we haven't. I think it's difficult to talk about the departures and give it sort of a definitive uh, thought to it, just because a lot of it our hands were tied. I mean, you look at this. Tyler Adams was a release clause. Adam Forshaw and Robles didn't want to sign a new contract. Verba, Koch, Brendan Harrison, Luis Sinistera. I think all of those, Christensen, Rocker, all of those bar Aronson are were the loan clauses that we had in our contracts. So we can't really talk about the departures in terms of the quality of them or how good a job they've done with the transfers or with the departures. Because, like I said, we had no real choice in it. It was a matter of we had to say yes legally. I think to get a bit of money for Tyler Adams was important. We needed some money from somewhere with all of those loan deals, and as far as players in our squad go, if we were to lose one, I think his best skills would have been wasted in the championship. We don't need, if we're playing hopefully somewhere near the top of the championship, we don't really need that player to be winning the ball back high up the pitch and recycling it in possession so much. We want the player like Ampadu, who we'll go on to talk about with the arrivals. He is a better fit, and we needed money from somewhere. I think for FFP reasons. Rodrigo going is a shame, but he was probably one of the ones you can't begrudge a move. He gave his absolute all for us last season. Only 3 million, but he's old. Off to Qatar to make his money. So I'm happy for Rodrigo. And Roberts, I couldn't really care less about. Uh, Now with Forshaw and Robles, it's an interesting one because obviously Forshaw's gone on to Norwich. You maybe think we could have kept him around. Um, but maybe that shows some of the ambition of the 49ers that they're not willing to say, oh well, we can rely on Forshaw like we the previous ownership model could, when we've seen we can't necessarily rely on him. And Robles, I think he's gone to he couldn't even get one of the big Saudi moves, I don't think. So I think to have that as our backup keeper in the Prem probably speaks more about our recruitment than anything else. And then I suppose Brendan Aronson, one of the few loan deals other than the young lads at the bottom. All the ones at the bottom I'm happy with. They needed minutes. They weren't going to get minutes necessarily in the first team. In Drama's case, we should get some compensation if he leaves. Greenwood and Perkins, I hope they both come back and maybe can make a stake into the team. But I think those, other than Aronson, I think it was the right move. I don't think the Championship is the place for him, and particularly not the Championship with the Leeds fans thinking of him as we did or as we do at the moment. I think he needs a bit of time away to get back up to form. We haven't seen it for Union Berlin either. He's been pretty poor, but I think there's a player in there. He's only young, and I do think there's a player in there. I think if we think back to the first sort of 4, 5, maybe even 6, 7 games of that season up before the World Cup break, I mean, he was really, really good. He was really good for us in that system. And I think there might be a player in there. I think he just needs a bit of confidence, maybe a season in Bundesliga, building that. And he wasn't ready for the Prem, and then maybe we can look to bring him back. With the other ones, the snakes or the loan clause specialists. Um, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they can all fuck off and never come back. I think Christensen, as we've seen with Roma, not good enough. Rocker, not suited to the English game. Harrison, I mean, Everton, come on, Everton. Koch out of contract. Verba thinks he's somewhat special. Luis Sinistera forcing a move, forcing legal action at the end of the window. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I could not care less if any of those players never put on a Leeds shirt again. If we can get some money for them, obviously that'd be nice. Next season, keep the finances going, and maybe that might be something that is helpful if we don't go up this season. Almost having those delayed finances in the form of all these loan deals. Maybe once we look past the fact that Orta and Rajazani were fucking idiots, we can maybe see the sense in what they were doing in the sense of financial security. But it just left us too much in the shit in terms of having a playable squad. Every player could leave if and when they wanted to, and the club had no power over that. And I think that made it really, really difficult in this window, which I think is the sort of point that overlaps every single thing. And I suppose I'll go into it more with the arrivals, but the hands were tied this window, and any amount of good that we do, I feel like it will have been done despite the departures, not because of, if that makes sense. And yeah, ultimately departures are departures. Let's go on to the arrivals. And here we go, the incomings. You can already tell I've got a bit more energy, a bit more sprite in my step, though I will also thank that bit of Yorkshire tea. Will get us going. The incomings. I'm going to start at the bottom with this list. I kind of worked my way down, loosely speaking, on the departures. I'm going to move my way up because the exciting stuff's at the top. Jaden Anthony on loan. I'm going to try and put this as a separate deal to the Sinistera departure because I think that puts a bad light on the transfer. As an incoming on loan for a season, if we let's pretend that we didn't lose Sinistera as part of the deal, I think this is a really, really exciting loan deal to look forward to. He's a brilliant, brilliant player, hard-working player. He hasn't missed a single game through injury in his senior career. He's done it in the championship before with I think it was 7 goals to 8 assists or something in that neck of the woods, which is certainly some really really good goal contributions. When you think of a front four with Ganonto on the left, Sinister in that number 10 role, which it feels like he's going to be playing, and Jaden Ante on the right or whatever combination of that. I think that's a really really exciting thing going forward. So I think that's a good deal for us. Joe Rodon, I don't. I'm not sure he should be playing in the championship. In all honesty, I think he's a step above that. He moved on from the championship after a brilliant campaign quite a few years ago now to get the move to Tottenham, and he's made the step back down. I think he's a really, really good player and a really smart bit of business from Leeds. We wouldn't be able to get a centre half of anywhere near that quality for the money that we had available. And if we went young and had Cresswell as a starter, I think there might be some issues with development paths there. So I think this is a really, really clever bit of business. Give Cresswell another year to keep improving and have a really, really quality centre back in the meantime. And I think the same with Jed Spence. Obviously, it looked like Drama wasn't going to be included in the squad. There was maybe some issues there. I don't know. But Jed Spence on loan, yeah, we've apparently spent 1 million on it. I think that's fine. We've seen 5 minutes of him at the end of the Sheff Wednesday game, and I'm convinced he's Cafu. I mean, he looked really, really quality in that 5 minutes. He is a step above Ailing, and I sense once the squad's a bit more embedded, he will be starting in front of Ailing, or he certainly should be. But I think Fark just wants to let the squad grow with your vice captain in there for the time being. And then another right back, Sam Byram. Though we've been seeing him at left back in that inverted fullback role, and he's been really quality. I mean, I think we all sort of didn't expect this one, and I think if you told us 12 months ago that we'd be signing Sam Byram, I think I would have had a fit. Um, but he's been really good for us so far. He's been really, really solid. He knows what it means to play for the club. He's not. You could say what happened last time with him or whatever else, but he's not going to be. He's no Charlie Taylor. He's not going to be refusing to play and pulling out moves. I don't think. And so I think that's a really clever bit of business and a bit of passion in that left back and possibly right back role going forward. Carl Darlow, the money's peanuts. I think he's a really, really good keeper. I think he's an unlucky keeper not to be a first choice keeper in the championship with the quality we know he has. So to have him as a backup and part of that goalkeeping unit, I think that's a really, really clever bit of business. And then we get onto the sorry, clear my voice for this one. We get onto the big dogs, the four big signings of the window that really sort of underpin a lot of what we've done this window. Kamara, I think from Rangers is a of all of these, I think he perhaps comes with the most excitement, bar maybe Pirro, but possibly is a little bit more of a risk, I think. He has more of a sense of an auto signing than the others. I think he's a little bit of an unknown asset in the sense of he hasn't played masses of football in the last couple of years. He's out of favour at Rangers. And I think if we get the best Glenn Kamara and a Glenn Kamara that wants to play football or wants to play for this club, I think we could get a really, really good player, and a player that maybe should be playing at this level. If we get the Kamara of late that has been unimpressive for Rangers and hasn't really wanted to play for them, and they haven't really wanted him to play for them, then it might be a little bit underwhelming. But ultimately, I think it could be a really, really clever bit of business in a position where it was needed. I mean, young Archie Gray cannot be our only midfield option going into the season, no matter how good he is. And Ilya Gruev's an interesting one. A left footer, so again, possibly someone out of Horta's playbook. But no, I think he's a completely different player to Kamara and Archie Gray for that matter. Probably more similar to Ethan Ampadu. I think when Ampadu, if or when Ampadu misses games, then Gruev could be a really, really good just slot him straight in. Possibly in tough games, when you would play the Leicesters and the Southamptons and the clubs like this that are going to go and try and beat us. A player like Gruev alongside Ampadu, both of them winning the ball back, recycling play. They've got those long balls, long passes in the locker as well. I think it's a really clever bit of business. I think for 5.5 million, we're going to hope he's a real player because that is a luxury signing in the Championship. That's a lot of money. And I hope he is so. And Ethan Ampadu, I've spoken about him a couple of times. I mean, it almost feels weird calling him a new signing now. He feels so well embedded in this squad. He's played almost every minute for us. He's been our best player on the pitch almost every game, or certainly our most consistently good player this season. After 7 million at his age, it is a snippet of what we could have paid. I think we took advantage of that Chelsea situation where they need players out and they've spent all this silly money. And he was a player that wasn't going to get game time at Chelsea. And if we get three quarters, a half of the player we've had so far this season throughout the 46 games, then I think that will be an incredible bit of business from the 49ers and Hammond, because he looks to be something special, really mature, really steady, and a really, really good player and a good lad as well, I think. And then last but not least, we've got the big man up top, Joel Giro. 12 million quid. It's quite a lot of money for the championship. I think if all the add-ons go through, I seem to remember seeing that would be a championship record signing, I believe, more than Ruben Neves. So that's some big shoes to fill. But he's 6'3", and I'd imagine he has some pretty big feet as well, or 6'2" possibly. I don't know. He's a big lad. I think there's a lot of Leeds fans getting annoyed about the Chef Wednesday game. He went missing a little bit, playing deeper than perhaps they expected. But I think that is true of what he was playing as at Swansea. I don't think that's necessarily. I think Leeds fans maybe thought they were getting a different player than they were. He's not, he's not a Peter Crouch. He's not a Romelu Lukaku. He's not playing with his back to goal necessarily, pinning defenders and playing off of him like that. He is quite a technical big man, actually, and games like Chef Wednesday might happen where he comes up with nothing, but then games will come up like Ipswich where, he gets goals and he's involved in each and every goal. And, the stats don't lie. He scores goals in this league. And that's what you pay the big money for. I don't think it's with some of the money that was thrown about for him. I think it's less than it could have been, but still a very high fee. So I'm happy with that one. I really am. But I don't know if he's the player Leeds fans perhaps thought he was going to be. So I think to sort of quick roundup on my thoughts on the window is I think incomings wise, they've been very, very sensible and they've done a really, really good job, albeit late in some of these cases. But it's a 46 game season and we've played what, 4 or 5 games, 6 games of that. So there's very little has already happened. So I think the fact that we've got all these players in and we know where we're at now and we've got a really big, good squad to grow off of, I think is a really good thing. I think with Firpo still out injured and questionable, maybe we could have said a left back would have been nice. And I can't help but think we lack a number 10. I mean, I know we've got Rotter and Pirot and Somerville and stuff that aren't out and out attackers and can maybe play in that role. But when we saw it against Wednesday, I think a playmaker that can break down teams that play deep would have been nice. But perhaps would have been a bit of a big ask. I think this is a very, very ambitious window. Very few teams in the championship overspend compared to their departures, and we have spent more than we raked in from our transfers. And that's interesting. I think most of the teams in this league, particularly when you look at Leicester and Southampton, have made millions and millions more than they signed. So for the fact that we've spent the way we have, I do think is ambitious from the 49ers and is a really good sort of platform for us to build on. If we go up this season, I think we can build on top of this squad. And if we don't go up this season, it takes us another season or two. I think we're in a really, really good place with a strong, young, competitive championship side that we can build on going forward. So yeah, I think that wraps up that video. If you guys did enjoy, if you guys got any opinions on the transfer window, any players you think we should have signed, any players you think we should have sold, let me know down below. Let's have a chat down there. Otherwise, like and subscribe, drop me a follow on Twitter for anything else, and I'll catch you all in another video. Bye.